maybe they should say, maybe, Mr. President, Hunter is a criminal.
Maybe they should go ask a Zoolander with a school for children who can't read good.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
So a controversial new law verifies California police officers do not have to be U.S. citizens, and this is just one of many things the liberals and the left are doing to try to take away your freedoms and ultimately, my opinion, make you less than or lower than the ruling class. Tom, this is crazy.
So let me understand this, Mike, because that's the way my mind works. I'm kind of old and, hard-headed. I've been told that by you and others.
I'm right there with you.
But I also looked this up before we went on air, and it says this is what California police officers must swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which itself declares that this Constitution and laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof. They got to swear that they're going to defend the Constitution of the United States, and they don't have to be a U.S. citizen?
Well, how would they even know the Constitution if they're not a U.S. citizen? That's absolutely bonkers.
But that's because Newsom is such a great governor in California, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Because more laws that are really, frankly, against the best interest of the general public.
Well, Mike, and I think we have to just be more open. And I don't know if that you guys are going to agree that we're not open enough. But Mike and I are being very open and honest about things that are happening, and we're just ranting about them. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, the what this opens the doors for is just crazy, and I really frankly don't understand, like, why would we make a law that the officers don't have to be U.S. citizens
unless there's a reason,
unless they're coming here with like an H-1B visa or something, like what, and which to be a police officer, that's absurd.
It doesn't make sense. But I think as we go on,
before we do, Tom,
okay,
it's interesting because now my mind's kind of going on this rabbit hole a little bit. Okay, so unless you came here on an H-1B visa, or you're on a tourist visa, or something like that, you're not here legally, right? So you're either a citizen or you're here as a tourist, or you're here on a work permit. No police officer is going to be here on a work permit. That just doesn't make sense. So essentially what this is saying is they're going to be hiring illegal immigrants. So the first thing you have is we're hiring criminals, basically. It's criminals. If you break the law, makes you a criminal, does it not? Okay, so we were hiring criminals to be the police force for U.S. citizens.
But Mike, the good part of that is we have plenty of illegal immigrants to make policemen.
But
I'm just messing with you, Mike.
The basis of this is you're a criminal.
It's nonsensical.
So the criminals are going to be the one enforcing the law? Like,
Mike, we don't.
But again, welcome to Clown World, because this is California, and nothing we do here makes any tommed sense.
No, it doesn't. but as we move quickly on, our governor wants to take his show on the road. Governor Newsom.
Except for nobody wants it, right? Now, did he officially? I don't think he did. Did he officially announce his candidacy for president? Or
I think something happened on his trips, because Governor Newsom launched a campaign to fight GOP policies in other states. So he went out and he took a tour of some other states. And I'm not sure the response. I got to read a few of them, and I don't want to go into them today. But I'm not sure he sold California or Chinafornia.
Nobody wants Chinafornia. I love that. That's awesome.
Well, can I get in trouble for that?
No, I don't think so. I'm wondering where you heard that from, but I love it.
Allegedly, it's going to become Chinafornia.
Hey, maybe that's where the police force is going to come from now.
Could be, because they're not citizens. But he took a show on.
Well, they're citizens somewhere, just not the U.S.
He took a show on the road, probably, I think, to dip his foot in the water of a presidential campaign. It's funny. Mike and I have a theory. You want to do our theory now?
Yeah, let's throw it out.
Okay, you throw it out.
Okay, this is the one about Newsom potentially.
Yeah.
So his path to presidency.
Our brain went down a rabbit hole.
It did.
It did.
So the thing is, right? So we have Biden, and I have to say I'm sad because, like, I think there's a lot of people that are going to vote, that have voted, besides the people that don't even exist that vote, right? But that's a whole nother story. There's a lot of people that are ignorant.
Well, our press secretary.
Speaking of people that are ignorant,
she took a question, I think yesterday, that with a lot of people not wanting him to run, even the Democratic voters, why would he do it? And of course, they had a lot of excuses. I mean, you can watch it and determine for yourself. But that is a question that's concerning me. So go down the rabbit hole.
Okay, so Biden is just this week announced his candidacy for president, and which,
way to go, Joe.
Yeah, right. But what's scary is I think there's a good amount of people that are ignorant or deluded enough to vote for him, and but then one of the questions that you were alluding to that Jean-Pierre took the other day was, is he going to finish his presidency, right? That's the big question. Is he going to finish his presidency?
He might start, but I don't think he's going to make an appearance. I think this is going to be an all of video.
It's going to be all AI. It's not even Joe. It's just a AI, right? Like, what was the thing? Was the name you were looking for earlier Max Headroom?
Yes, Max Headroom. I was.
Anybody who's old enough to remember Max Headroom.
This will be a Max Headroom presidential run.
Right, because he's probably not going to debate anyone. He might pass out on stage. Who knows, right? Jill will be out there kind of propping him up from behind. But so kind of theory we came up with is that he might have Newsom be his running mate, right? Hopefully not cycling mate, because they both might fall down. But
you heard it first here, maybe.
But as the running mate, Joe Biden, who knows if he's clearly hasn't been mentally stable for longer than 4 years. But beyond that point, Gavin Newsom potentially being the vice president could then step into the role of presidency. Yeah. All Biden would have to do is kind of just step out of the way.
Well,
right?
What they have to do is they have to work something out so Kamala Harris can become California's governor.
Well, they just do a little swap-a-roo, right?
I mean, hey, what stops them? So as you're out there, our governor took his trip on the road, and I don't know how he sold it, but he came back, and we didn't see a lot of hoopla, so maybe it didn't go well.
Well, no, he couldn't possibly win an election for president.
No
way. The rest of America, aside from maybe New York City and Chicago, don't want California as an entire country.
I don't think they can. I don't think they can sell it. We have a hard time selling it. So Dan Bongino made the remarks during his podcast on Thursday morning, calling for all right-wingers of all stripes to flee liberal cities in order to form their own freedom and liberty-loving enclaves. And I like it because he says, hey, listen, nothing is real anymore to leftists. Nothing spying, government spying, critical race theory, censorship. Nothing is real, all made up, Bongino said. It's a figment of our imagination.
Well, so what's crazy?
So what he's saying is, he also said that Californians, you're not going to win California back. And so move to a red state to make them better.
Well, he said city, but I think he meant state, right? But the thing is, the only way that they're keeping up with the population outflow, the people that are leaving, is by bringing in all of these
law
illegals.
Enforcement officers.
Right. So right. So, it kind of stands to reason. Well, you don't have to be a U.S. citizen to be a law enforcement officer. Well, if they didn't do that, they might not even have any anyway, because they're all leaving.
So the other article we have here is talking about Americans are fleeing.
Yeah.
To places where their political views match their own. But why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
If there's no hope. There again,
it's inevitable that you got to. You can't fight it. Right?
I've lived in California under Republicans and Democrats, and I've got to tell you, Governor Newsom has done one bang-up job with California, going in the toilet.
And the expediency with which he's done it is incredible, right?
Well, as we keep talking about these things, I think one of the biggest things is. And we get a Fox News article here that Gavin Newsom's COVID-19 response brought California to its knees.
Oh, it did. I'm
just telling you, we're still not recovering from all of it. And the bad thing is we have a governor, and I forgot what relation Nancy Pelosi is to him, is they don't even follow their own rules.
Of course they don't. Rules for thee and not for me, right?
Yes. And so
we're subjects of King Newsom.
So Gavin Newsom, I think, asked a question this week, And he said, what should I do about the fentanyl crisis in California? Is he asking you and I, Mike?
No.
I
don't. I think it's because he doesn't have any idea. What do I do about the fentanyl crisis and still not have a state with zero population? Because the only way to have the population in California is, again, to allow the border crossings. Everyone else is leaving, but with the border crossing comes the fentanyl.
Well, it says here that the governor of California, one of the most powerful states in the country, is facing a number of challenges. I like that.
Challenges.
That are testing his
You think he might try to reword that to opportunities?
Testing his leadership, including California's fentanyl crisis. Well, you know, it's a crisis when you let them do the drugs on San Francisco streets. So he's enlisting, this. I guess he wasn't asking you our opinion.
No, he most certainly wasn't.
We're giving it. Governor Newsom calls on CHP and National Guard to combat San Francisco's fentanyl crisis.
You know, he might want to call on the Border Patrol. That might help a little bit.
Well, as we go on, there's another article.
We'll just let them in and then try to police them when they get here.
Yes.
Why don't we just keep it out entirely? And that goes back to, we were talking about this morning, they're treating the symptom and not the root cause problem, right?
Well,
if they would solve the root cause problem, they wouldn't have the symptoms. They wouldn't have an issue to deal with. They wouldn't be calling on National Guard. They wouldn't have millions, literally millions of people leaving the country, the state. So, you know, that now they have to bring in the border, or not Border Patrol, God forbid that. They have to bring in the National Guard to combat the San Francisco fentanyl crisis.
Well, Mike, our next article talks about they know where the problem lies. You know, I mean, you know, here we have a department, the DOJ knows that the three Guzman sons, Oviedo Guzman Lopez, Jose Alfredo Guzman, hoping you can get mad at me for pronouncing these names wrong. Salazar.
Right? You might be in trouble.
He's one of the worst criminals locked up in America's maximum prison. Known as the Chapitos, or Little Chapos, were among 28 Sinaloa cartel members charged in a massive fentanyl trafficking investigation announced last week. Justice Department accused the cartel members of running the largest, most violent, and most prolific fentanyl trafficking operation in the world. They know what's happening. It's coming from Mexico.
Well, you know what's crazy, Tom, and you probably know this. If you're watching this, I know there's a lot of people I talk to on a daily basis that don't realize this and don't know this. 90% of the people you see on the street that are selling the flowers or the different things or have the booths or whatever, that's all human trafficking.
Hello.
And it's very well known among the law enforcement communities. And but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all enslaved to, you know, whoever, probably guys just like this, right? And they're here paying off their debt. The thing is, like, they never actually get released, but their families are all being held hostage. Like, hey, you got to go out there and work for us literally for the rest of your life, or we're going to murder your family.
Well, a lot of things, you know, bad happen around the world. But as we talk about Newsom, we're talking about them knowing where the problem is. And we have an open border policy with Mexico. And then Mexico is the fentanyl problem. So,
but it's not coming directly from Mexico, right? It's coming from China, and they're just coming across the border.
So, Governor Newsom, if you're asking Mike Harvey and Tom Touchstone's opinion on how to help you, secure the borders.
It's not that hard.
Because the fentanyl, I guess the DOJ knows, is coming from there. And then we got to figure out another way for you to get police officers.
So I got a question for you, Tom. So as everyone that's actually a legal U.S. citizen eventually leaves the state of California, right, or the country of the Socialist Republic of California, Chinafornia, love it.
You heard that first here.
Who are they going to have doing the border patrol in California and San Diego? Is it going to be the illegals? So we got illegals policing illegals down to the border? Or they're just going to do away with it entirely because there's just an open border policy. Just come on in. We need more people to fill our ranks to vote for us and
obviously,
keep us in power.
They didn't ask us. We're being satirical here too.
So, we are?
My brother was law enforcement. You guys do a great job.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Tom, and for those of you watching, I think you guys know enough about us. If you don't, would like you to. We're very involved with the first responders, law enforcement community, military communities.
We're involved with the nonprofit.
Very
that we
big
provide
supporters.
Mental health.
Showing the front line. We got an event this Saturday. So we are by no stretch of the imagination. Do not parse words. Do not misinterpret what we're saying.
We just have a problem.
We're very big supporters of law enforcement and first responders.
We have a problem with California's new law.
Oh, we have a problem with California's leadership or lack thereof.
A lot of new laws. Well, Mike, crime is rampant, and this is a sad thing in America.
Oh, it's terrible.
We hear about a young man who goes up to a door, it's the wrong door, knocks on it, and he gets shot.
Yeah.
We hear about a girl that drives in a car into a wrong driveway and gets shot. We have 2 cheerleaders in Texas that actually got out of a car and sat in the wrong car, and then they realized it, got out, sat in the right car, and then they got shot. That's terrible. It's so crazy. We also have a story about a good Samaritan who stepped in to save a Chicago couple being brutally beaten when in Chicago a few weeks ago. And we have the new mayor. Mayor Lightfoot's out, and I don't think Chicago made a step up.
Lateral at best.
Lateral at best. And the new mayor said, don't blame the kids. Well, if they did it, you got to blame them, right?
Right. Well, the thing is, and this just, and I don't know if it's just ignorance, foolishness, intentional, or what, but you see all of these things going on, and they're treating symptoms. They're not treating problems.
Well, it goes back to, and I think, and we're quoting a CNN article here, and we'll get, we still put the links to our articles, right? So here we have it. It says 6 people face murder charges for the Sweet 16 party massacre that left 4 dead and 32 injured. Now, I was looking it up, and I think I've heard several people say that this is allegedly the largest mass shooting.
That's
and I'm not saying it is, but they're saying 32 injured. And the way I understand it is that there was a Sweet 16 party, and the mother of the girl celebrating the thing asked 3 young men who had weapons to leave. And you can look it up. I mean, it's a sad state of affair in America, but the problem is not the guns.
No,
I was showing you an article.
Again, treating the symptoms, right?
I showed you an article earlier where there was a study done in 2020 that said more murders are committed with hands and feet than rifles. Now, handguns is a different story.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, we see the first murder in the Bible created by a rock.
Right. But that goes back to a conversation we've had many times. Guns haven't changed.
Nope.
If anything, the gun control laws and restrictions have gotten tighter, right?
Yeah.
Society is what's changed. And
you could go to some of these countries that have the tightest gun control laws, and they have murders. And you can go to the ones that have the most liberal gun control laws, they have no murders.
Yeah.
So I think Sun Tzu, and I may have got that wrong.
Art of War.
Yeah, Art of War. He said it's the mind is prepared to tell the hands and feet what to do.
It is.
So it's the mind that makes up to make an act of killing.
Well, that's my point, and that's the problem you see rampant across generalizing a little bit here across society when it comes to the LGBTQ, when it comes to even drug and fentanyl usage, violence, crime, guns, all of those things. It's all the mind, right? Because again, going back to what I was saying before, guns haven't changed. Society has changed.
Mike, and you and I and 511 Media Group were for faith, family, and freedom.
That's right.
We are against killing.
Yeah.
And that includes babies.
100%.
And for me, it includes the death penalty. And you can argue with me all day long. I can't be consistent with one without being consistent with the other. But are people going to get an abortion? Yes, they are. Am I going to apply my values to them? I think it's displeasing to God, but that's why we support Bakersfield Crisis Pregnancy Center with ultrasound machines, because it's been proven that if a mother sees 10 fingers and 10 toes and a beating heart, there's less likely chance of going through with the abortion. So we're there because I think murder is a hard issue no matter where it goes. And it's saying that I'm okay with it. And same thing with death penalty. I'm not going to pull the lever. Does it happen? Yes. Do I understand why it happens? Yes. Do I understand why people get abortions? Yes. Do I believe it's a person's choice? It is going to be a person's choice because it's not my choice.
Tom, I think we should.
I'm not sure we should legislate it. I'm just going to throw it out there Because if you're a Republican politician and you stand on the premise that you're against abortion for all reasons, I don't know if that's going to fare well for you in elections. I mean, and I'm not saying devalue your values, but I think you're going to have to look at the extenuating circumstances with rape and with incest, and I think those have to be married. Mike, you have a daughter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I have 2 daughters, so I'm not saying that if we're not faced with that circumstances, we're going to have our morals that guide us. But
well,
those
and we've had this conversation, Tom, where I stand. I have had conversations with you about where you stand. But like, if my daughter was in that situation, I've actually put out some videos about that. Which I don't think we just spend the remainder of our time going down that rabbit hole, because we could easily. But I think it's important, and I say this all the time, but I want to make it very, very clear, and that's why I keep repeating it. We're not against the people. People make a mistake, right? People
make decisions.
What I'm against, and what Tom's against, is the in education and indoctrination of telling people that, hey, this is right or that's right or whatever, because evil seems to be prevailing in society in general. And so, like, say, for example, we go and talk about transgenderism, right? I'm not against the people. It's a mental health issue, right? I'm not against the people that are transgenders. Yeah, we can. But I'm not against the people that have an abortion. What I'm against is the politics and the corporations that are profiting off of people's misery.
I agree. And this is still going to talk about crime, because we have a Home Depot worker that was fatally shot, and then, this one bothers me. We had a Florida man accused of choking and trying to rip a woman's bathing suit off at Cocoa Beach. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just like it's just so wrong. We'll go to the next slide, because I was thinking we're coming up against this, and it's interesting because it says through Fox News, Twitter scraps a ban against misgendering, dead naming transgender people.
Huh? They're not forcing us to lie?
Yeah, I think.
Go figure.
I think they're finally getting it, and we have a 5th grade teacher is enrages activists in the audience by denying trans ideology. That's not a hateful. That's fact.
What he's saying is that it's not hateful to deny the thought process that transgenderism is okay and boys can be girls and girls can be boys. It's just a fact, right? We talked about that many times.
Yeah, we did.
But the point is, quit lying to people. Yeah. Quit taking advantage and manipulating people just for profit.
And then we have a female volleyball player who testifies about the physical and mental trauma occurred when she got smacked in the face it looks like a volleyball warm-up by a transgender male. So they're saying that there's no difference. Well, this girl played volleyball at the college level a lot of years. This guy hits the ball at a greater force, and now she's got physical trauma and mental trauma just from that act.
Well, Tom, you were in professional sports, right? Yeah, you were bodybuilder. Yep. You were a monster at one time, right? Was there ever a woman that could possibly have gotten as big as you?
Not in my era. Now with the advancement of drugs, I don't know, but yeah,
right.
But not in my era.
Right. It's just a fact of nature. Yeah. Not only is it a fact of nature, God designed it and intended it to be that way.
He did.
Men are stronger. Men are physically bigger and capable of things. Women are capable of other things that men aren't capable of. Biggest one being having birth, but there's several others. And anybody that says a man can give birth is very deluded. But some people say that.
I said this on another podcast this week that I'm on, that there's been scientific study done that they looked into the germa, which the males produce sperm, the women have an ovary, and when you have one or the other. And it's funny because now I think some people want to call men people that produce sperm and women people that produce an egg, and I'm like, how much more ridiculous do we got to get?
Well, they can't figure out what words to use. They can't figure out what language.
I agree.
That's crazy enough. But what's crazy is they actually think that they're interchangeable, right?
So now we have a parent reportedly suing a school district after it allegedly helped secretly transition the child.
And good for them. They should sue them.
I agree. all the more. You see this fight going over and over again. You see it on the professional playing field. You see it in politics. I mean,
see it in education.
Education. School. I mean, and it's such a simple thing to identify, but we just get confused with semantics, right?
Well, some of us do. I don't.
I don't either. I don't. Well, hey, our friend Matt Walsh with the Daily Wire, which is close to us, because my daughter Tessa is part of our show as a creatives consultant, and she's the Daily Wire's talent manager, director. And so Matt Walsh came out, and when he went to Africa, the African tribal people didn't understand it because they had a real simple method of determining which is which.
He just lift the skirt,
and they were amazed that an American couldn't identify that.
Yeah, why are you?
It doesn't amaze you.
Why are you confused?
It doesn't amaze you that we have a Supreme Court justice that said she's not a biologist, so she doesn't know the difference between men and women.
I mean, we've known for thousands of years up until the last 3-4 years. I don't understand where this confusion is coming from.
This African tribal leader in Matt's documentary didn't need to be a biologist to figure out which is which.
Well, and I say I don't understand where the confusion is coming from, but really I do understand where the confusion is from, and it's just pure evil.
We'll run through this in 4 minutes. Caitlyn Jenner escalates her feud with Dylan Mulvaney. You have Caitlyn, who used to be Bruce Jenner, was one of my favorite athletes. Man, I love Bruce Jenner, man. 1976, when he won the gold medal in decathlon, that was one stud. So now they're beefing about transgenderism, they're both dudes.
Yeah.
Dressing up as gals. So it is okay, to be there. I mean, let's go on. But hey, for Dylan Mulvaney, I think she had a win this week because the Bud Light advertisement was a loss. Not only for her,
massive loss,
but it was for she's calling for people that won't stop ridicule to be arrested. I'm like, I'm not sure.
Well, so there's people that think I'm wrong, and I could be, but I've been saying for the past couple of weeks. I said, but I think Budweiser's headed for Chapter 11.
Well, what now she's on Maybelline's makeup. I'm okay with that. Dylan,
makeup's intended to disguise who you are.
Men are wearing makeup. I mean, so there you go. A win. Maybelline, they say, CBS News says Maybelline faces boycotts. I'm not boycotting Maybelline, are you?
No, I don't buy Maybelline.
I don't know if my kids or wife do, but I mean,
my wife probably might not buy Maybelline.
But I'm just saying, now if they want to boycott it because they have a problem with the men impersonating a woman, my wife, that bothers my wife.
Yeah.
I did, right? I mean, we talked about Caitlyn. I think she got Time Magazine Woman of the Year. I think that told my wife she's not woman enough. It takes a man to be a woman of the year.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy how men are dominating everything, including women's sports and women's beauty pageants and women's magazine articles and everything else.
I know. So we got a Florida seafood chain. They're going to remove Bud Light from their shelves.
Yeah.
Hey. Some people didn't like it, and so they're using their money to declare that. So here's one that, Mike, you wanted to end with, right?
Well, there's one after this. If you want to skip this one, we can do that.
No, because, we have Nancy Mace. She goes off on Biden after new Hunter revelations. This is corruption at its core, and yes, it is, Nancy Mace.
Well, I think everything in the entire Biden administration is corruption at its core, including the origins.
Man, I mean, somebody needs to help change President Biden's cue cards on the,
He's getting them wrong. He can't even read right now.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, maybe they should say, Mr. President, Hunter is a criminal.
Maybe they should go ask Zoolander with a school for children who can't read good.
I don't know. So let's finish up with our last one, Mike.
So View co-host gives surprising take, and I think this underlines all of it, on what's behind increasings in mass shootings. Now, this is talking about mass shootings, but I think it goes to underscore everything we've been talking about for the past, year and a half.
Yep.
It's the degradation of church, and ultimately what that equates to is degradation of morals and ethics in society, right?
Yes, it is. And it would run across all faith platforms.
Yeah, absolutely.
That teach that there is morality. And having morality, one of them that you and I have is part of the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill.
Well, and, I think every religion has some form of the Ten Commandments, right?
It does. And there again, that's why I very staunchly.
I mean, aside
on,
from maybe Satanism.
that's
but-
why I'm very staunchly on my fact about life and death.
Yeah. Right.
You know, because of my morals and my convictions and my faith, and I don't want to go against those. If you disagree with us, fine. Put us in the comments. We've had people tell us that we brainwash our kids and stuff like that. So that's
some
okay.
More deluded people.
Yeah. So just let
Anyway.
us know how you feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Keep up with us.
These are our opinions and our theories.
Yeah. Sure.
If you have different ones, we still love you, and hope you
Yes.
can say that about us.
Have a great day. Thanks for watching. God
Bye.
bless.